Hi, I'm Maya from Book from Dreams and welcome to a new video. I'm going to follow the trend and do a modified version of the mid-year freakout tag. In the last couple of months, my reading has slowed down. If you haven't noticed, I haven't actually posted a wrap-up in a while. But I guess since I think November of last year, because I don't know. I didn't feel like filming it. So I'm going to take this opportunity to sort of wrap up the last now 7 months of reading. I'm not going to mention every book I've ever read, but we'll just go through the highs and lows and whatnot. If I look at my reading in the last couple of months, I've just basically been mood reading, which means rereading Ilona Andrews and Jim Butcher. So that's what the last 2 months of my reading has looked like. But before we get started with the tag, let's just go through some stats. So far, I have read 66 books, which puts me in a good position to achieve my goal of reading 100 books this year. I think, until May, I have read around 12 to 14 books a month, but since May, it's been 5 or 6. I don't know what happened in May and June. I sort of lost my eagerness to read outside of my comfort zone. I didn't want to read anything new. I just felt like rereading Ilona Andrews and Jim Butcher. I guess I'm in is that a reading slump even though I'm reading stuff? I don't know. I didn't feel like finishing any of the readathons. Like, I haven't finished the Aurelium readathon, the spring equinox. I haven't finished the Asian readathon. I mean, I don't think I haven't even started the Asian readathon. I made TBRs for both of those, but I haven't read anything. In the last several months, I've sort of been only reading like required reads. Christina and I had a bunch of live shows and book discussions with the crew from Morena Kutia, and I had to read a bunch of books for that. I did that. I read books for the book club that Christina and I have with my sister and another friend. But other than that, I've been sort of comfort reading, and it's been working so far for me. But let's go through the modified questions and talk about, some of the books that I've read in the last 7 months. So the first question is the best book you've read so far. And for me, I surprisingly had a bunch of five-star reads that aren't rereads. And my pick for this question is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. Look at this awesome cover. I love this book. So in this book, we follow Amina. Amina is a former pirate, and she has settled down in like a sort of family life, and she has been approached to do a job that no bandit could refuse, which, means go find some treasure. And she does. And she goes on this swashbuckling adventure that really took me by surprise. I was very resistant to reading this for a long time. I got the book and I was like, I don't know, like, if I'm feeling this. But as soon as the story started, it gave me such Sebastian de Castell vibes with, you have this found family of interesting characters. Each member of the crew is like a expert in something, so you're like reading like a heist story, but there's like family dynamics, and there's the mystery of the father of Amina's child, and there's adventure that really sucked me in, and I really had a great time reading it. Had such fun, and so far my favorite book of the year. The next question is the best sequel you have read in 2024, and for that I'm going to pick book 3, but book 6. So this is Ruby Fever by Ilona Andrews. This is book 6 in the Hidden Legacy series, but book 3 in the Catalina story. So this is an urban fantasy series in which we follow members of the Baylor family and their work as private investigators. They live in a world where people gave themselves magic by manipulating some stuff. And you have, most powerful magic users, which are called primes of various branches of magic. So like you could have telekinetics, you can have, oh my God, what do you call those people who can read minds? those people. You can have people who turn into stuff, they can manipulate metal and whatnot. And those magical people are divided into magical families, and there's like a whole hierarchy between them. And we follow, the Baylor family, in this case, Catalina, as they, deal with various cases. Now, if you ever read Ilona Andrews' book, you know that the mystery story is really good and interesting and hooks you. But you also have sort of supporting character, especially in this series, the other members of the Baylor family who are adding to the story with their, just interesting takes on life. And, they seem as a family, even though as they rise in power, both magical and, um, inside their, let's call it magical society, seeing them sort of stay down to earth and just staying true to their morals and what they stand for. And it's really, really such a fun read. And this sixth book in the overall series and the third in this second trilogy brought together so many plot points to a satisfied conclusion, but also opened up the book for the next trilogy, which I'm so looking forward to getting to, because we follow the youngest Baylor sister and what I guess would be her relationship with a Russian prince guy. I don't know. It's just, I had such fun reading it, and really a fantastic conclusion to the series. And yeah, that's my pick for best sequel. It was a reread, by the way. Next question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. So I have two books for this. So the first one is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is, I do believe we follow two characters. One is like a Sherlock type of character, and they have their Watson, and together they're trying to investigate a murder. Basically, I think they find a body with a tree coming out of it. So there's magic, there's spores and such, and a lot of people have been reading it and saying good things. Yeah, so I haven't gotten to it yet, but I want to because it sounds really interesting. And my second pick for this is The Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This is book 2 in his Empire of the Vampire series, which I think I read last year, and I had a really fun time with it. I enjoy Jay Kristoff's books. I like the what do you call them, footnotes. People don't like them, but I do. I enjoy it in his writing, and I enjoy how they add to the story, add to the world, and give a sort of a different flavor, a different point of view to a thing that is happening on page. And yeah, I do want to get to it soon. I hope. Oh, and then tell you what this is about. So in the first book, we follow the last Silver Knight, who is basically a half. Is this a spoiler? I think it's a spoiler, but he's like a half human, half vampire dude who is tasked by this brotherhood to hunt vampires. And we sort of see him in the first book. He's captured by the vampires, and he tells his story from like, I was born and this is what happened, and his training and his adventures as he's trying to find a way to destroy all vampires and such. And this is the sequel. The next question is the most anticipated release you have for the second half of the year. I don't have one. I have, sort of come to a conclusion that I mean, I care about books that come out if they were written by a favorite author or such, but to actively go and look for them, no. If I see it mentioned a bunch of times by other various people on the internet, on BookTube, mostly, then I'll look into it. But I guess I'm not all that bothered. The next question is the biggest disappointment, and for that, my answer would be A Natural History of Dragons by Mary Brennan. I do believe that was one of the books we had to read for our sort of buddy read live discussion thing we have with the crew from Morena Kutia. I do believe Leia picked that one. I was disappointed because for a book that's called A Natural History of Dragons, there weren't a lot of dragons in it. Like really the most minimal amount. And I was expecting a sort of, well, not like I mean, it's a memoir of Lady Trent, and you sort of start this story with a woman with a different name. So that immediately tells you that, oh, yeah, so I guess she's not that woman yet. And I was expecting a sort of, I don't want to say a scholarly text. I was expecting a text about dragons. And in the text, I was expecting sort of British humor quips a la Discworld, or, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, something like that, in that vein. And I got like a memoir of this lady who, has some has shown her interest in science and the inner workings of animals in very interesting ways. Basically, we follow this lady who joins an expedition to go look at some dragons, and in her expedition they come across smugglers and whatnot, and danger, and a minimal amount of dragons. I was expecting more dragons. I wanted temeraire and I got this, and yeah, so I was really disappointed while reading this. The next question is, what are some of my biggest surprises of 2024? I have two books for this. First of all, I don't have the one book. I thought I had this. So I read The Final Strife by Sara El-Arifi, and it was a 5-star read for me. And I was so surprised because it was the first book in a fantasy trilogy. And first books usually, you spend a lot of time setting up the world, and I kind of get lost in the details, and I usually get bored and like whatnot. But in this one, the story is set up. We follow this society where your position is set by the color of your blood. So like the red is like the blood of magic, blue is blood of the poor, and clear is the blood of slaves. And at the beginning of the book, we sort of see that so you have this upper echelon of people, and we see that the rebellion has done this enormous thing by basically they switched out babies. They switched out the rich babies with the poor babies, and basically took the rich babies with them to raise them to become part of the rebellion. And the poor babies were sort of hidden throughout the society. You saw how various families dealt with this. Some of them killed the babies, some of them raised them, and hid the fact that they don't have magic and such. And we follow two different characters. We follow like the stolen baby, and the given baby, the switched babies, basically. We follow two different characters, and throughout the story, you find out that, they were switched. And this might be spoilers, but I don't give a shit. And sort of watching society and watching how they, through their eyes, and watching how they get in their power, in their magic, and how they're training for this competition. Of course, it's a competition. And also following them, one being spoiled but eager to prove that she has magic, and one sort of suffering and being basically a drug addict, and throughout the story coming to terms with what's happened to her part of the rebellion, and whether she was responsible for things or not. It was very interesting, and it was tense, and there were political machinations, seeing like this rebellion and this society sort of falling apart with what they're doing. It was a really interesting read, and I'm looking forward to getting to the other two books in this series, because I was so surprised when I read it, and when I gave it 5 stars, because I do believe that book was my second 5-star of the year. And I think I read this book in March, because I was trying to finish my Reddit Bingo Fantasy TBR for last year. And yeah, I read it in March, and I just really, really had a great time. And my second surprise is The Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a surprise because I knew it was a paranormal romance, but I didn't think it would be so good. I'm not trying to, because previous to this, I read a bunch of paranormal romances that weren't good. And when I read this one, it was perfect. It had everything that I wanted in a paranormal romance. So basically, in this one, we follow, I think her name is Misery, Misery Lark. She's a vampire, and she's been sort of given to the guy. His name is Lo. He is the alpha werewolf, and she's sort of been given to him. They had like an arranged marriage. So, there can be alliance between the werewolves and vampires. And, she doesn't like him, he doesn't like her, and they're sort of coming together. They learn more about each other, and their relationship blossoms and whatnot. But she's basically there to try to find her missing friend, and he's there, to like try to survive the whole thing. But yeah, after about a string of really crappy romances that I read, this one was really perfect for what I wanted to read at the moment, and it was such surprising. I gave it 5 stars because it was a really, really well done paranormal romance, and yeah, that's the book for this answer. The next question is favorite new author. I don't really have one. This has been the year of the reread. And all the other new authors that I've read, I only read one book from them, and I didn't really want to, make an author my favorite author just based on one book that I've read. I have to read more. So yeah, I didn't have the answer for this one. Then a book that made you cry. I don't have one. I am expecting to cry in my Kate Daniels reread. There's I think it's the next book when one of uh, a major character dies, and I'm sort of looking forward to it. But I'm pretty sure that one will make me cry. But so far, I haven't cried at anything. So yeah, no answer for this one too. The next question is books that made you happy. So before I get to my rereads, so Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. Basically, we follow the same character. I forgot her name, Viv. She's an orc, and at the beginning of her sort of mercenary career, she gets injured, and she's been left behind in the city and to recuperate and whatnot. And she's basically recuperating, and she makes a friend who has a failing bookstore, and she helps this friend build up her bookstore and do other stuff around the town. It has the same vibes as Legends and Lattes, and I really had a fun time reading this. Also listening to the audiobook because the author does the audiobook as well. But yeah, it gave me cozy vibes, and I really enjoyed it. So that's that. My second pick for this would be my Kate Daniels reread. So far, I have read the first 5 books, and I read the corresponding short stories between the books. So I read Magic Bites, and I read this one, Magic Slays, and I read Magic Burns, and I read Magic Something Bleeds, and then I've read Magic Strikes and all the other, gunmetal magic, and I read Magic Gifts and Magic Dreams and whatnot. These books make me happy because they're comforting. I've read them. First time I've read them, I was in college, discovering urban fantasy and whatnot. But Kate Daniels, as her character, is a very capable young woman who is dealing with magic in her city, and she's also dealing with the mystery of her family, and she's dealing with her romantic relationship with Karan, who is the alpha leader. He's a lion shifter, and he leads the shapeshifters of Atlanta, and just all the other supporting characters that are so familiar, and it's very comforting, and it just brings me lots of joy to reread these books. Christina and I are following along with the graphic audio release of the audiobooks for this series, and as soon as the new one comes out, I immerse read. It is such a fun project, and it brings me so much joy, and I'm looking forward to the next book coming out, which I do believe it's like in August or something. I have 2 questions left. So next one is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. Well, a bunch of books. Okay. My answer to this is this one. This is Michael Crichton's fancy edition of Jurassic Park and The Lost World. I haven't removed the plastics to see what's inside because I'm scared, but I should though. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. It's fine. After, I'll just place it carefully on my bookshelf and not touch it and such. So it has this silver. What do you call that? It's not foiling. This is sort of silver. It has, what do you call it? Oh my god. It has, I don't know how you say this in English. This thing here that lets you know, like a bookmark that lets you know where you are connected to the book. Oh god, look how awesome this is. So this is the Isla Nublar, probably, where the I almost said aliens, where the dinosaurs are. Oh, if you don't know, the same one. Yeah, same in here. It doesn't have any extra illustrations or anything, but if you've read the books, you I love this. This is awesome. If you read the books, you know that in the story at some point, and if you watch the movie, the kid goes into the system, and you can basically see the screen and whatnot. That's basically here as it was in my paperback edition. So yeah, that's the previous book that I bought this year. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I would like to finish the readathons that I've started. So I would like to finish my TBR for the Aurelium readathon. I'll leave the video to the TBR here, to the spring equinox. The autumn equinox has been moved to September, which is good. because I am like missing in action in like second half of July and most of August because I'm somewhere traveling or whatnot. I would also like to finish the books that I put on my Asian Readathon TBR. That would be really cool. But yeah, overall, I don't think I have like specific books. I mean, I have books that are like body reads and whatnot, but you know, the world's not gonna end if you don't read them. So yeah, I don't really have anything that I want to read. Specifically, I think I will be making a better concentrated effort in September, or at least in the second half of August and into September to read stuff on the various reading challenges that I am a part of, like the Buzzword Readathon. I'm not reading anything for that. The My Reddit Fantasy Bingo TBR for the new for this year's challenge. I'm not reading anything of that. So yeah, will be just concentrating on finishing the reading challenges, and that would be that. So yeah, that's my take on the mid-year freakout tag. If you want to share your answers to some of the questions, or you want to make a video yourself, please do, and let me know in the comments that you did so I can go watch it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, please press the like button. And that's it. I will see you in the next video. Bye.